Hi there crafters, Louise with you today. It is my first share for the month of April, and this starburst layout I thought was going to be a great way to create with these different patterned papers. So they are not a super patterned paper in that, you know, they're different colors, but they all coordinate quite nicely and they're not too overwhelming to the eye. So I'm going to kind of just freehand. I know I want my background to be quite messy, and I don't strictly want it to be in the exact shape of the starburst. In fact, I want them to be a little bit thinner. I want them to sort of have that explosive feeling around that central portion. And I know at this point in time that I'm also going to tuck some elements under each of those pattern papers. So I know I want to tear some elements, I want to mix a few different pattern papers and bits and pieces. So initially I'm just going to work on this starting portion of the sunburst, and I'm going to place a few different pattern papers. I'm trying to keep it in those sort of blue shades because that's the main things I scrap are my boys, so I definitely think that keeping it in that shades of blue is going to help me to choose a photo, because at this point I have not a great deal of idea how this is actually going to come together. So as you can see, the starbursts have been cut, and I'm going to show you this process. So I want to ruffle the edges, and I want to create this kind of, it's not a mixed media background because there's no additional mediums, but I want it to be really textural and grungy. So you can see I'm going to tear some pieces, tuck them in behind my layers. I want some more straight starburst pieces. And then I think, okay, this is, you know, it looks okay, but how can I take it to the next level? What can I actually do? And so I pull out some black pens, because black is a great contrast with these colors, and it kind of highlights and helps match everything in. So I'm going to use different strengths of pens, and I'm going to draw some lines. I'm going to use different widths of lines. I'm going to do some scribbles and some little scrawly doodles and bits and pieces, and I'm just going to make that happen around the whole layout. So I think that this actually came together really well. You know, it wasn't strictly structured, it didn't have to be neat and perfectly tidy. Some of my sunburst reaches the edges, some of it sort of stops short. It's the kind of technique where it's really fun to do, and it doesn't necessarily matter if it's completely perfect. All right, while I finished that off camera, I had a bit of a think about the photo that I wanted to use. Obviously, I don't want to cover up too much of that background because it's, you know, I worked pretty hard on it. And so I chose this horizontal photo of all the neighboring kids playing in the backyard. And so I'm just going around and auditioning a few pieces, having a feel. It is the first creation that I've made this month, so I'm not really sure about how I feel about some of these elements. You know, sometimes a kit will immediately speak to you and you just know what you're going to create and what you're going to do. My mojo has been a little bit AWOL. You know, I'm creating, but I'm not super loving what I'm creating. And sometimes that can be quite a challenge to actually get you in the mood to create. So adding a few little pops with these white florals, because I thought that they would contrast quite nicely with those straight lines and the straight lines of the photo. Also, I do really like these tassels. You can see me ruffling them up, but the colors just don't match or coordinate with the layout that I'm going with. So I'm going to leave them off this particular page, but I'm building some interest around my photo. There's a couple of areas that I need to cover up in that background, because I didn't go directly to the center. So I have to make sure that there are none of that poking out. And with this being quite textured in the background, I want to be careful with how I embellish, because obviously those lines, they pull your eye towards the photo, but it needs to still be coordinated. I love this sticker sheet. I think it's got some great little elements, including these swirls. In hindsight, I wish I'd put a swirl and just drawn it with my pen, maybe up in that sort of top right-hand section somewhere, but hindsight is what we see when we're doing a voiceover on the video. So a couple of little embellishments and bits and pieces. Titling this page was quite hard. I feel like the title sheets are really good, but because I've got such a busy kind of background, I know that that title has to go up into that right hand side because I've got florals at the left, and it didn't look visually appealing at the top or the bottom. So there's a little bit of white space in this right hand to my photo that I need to put my title, and I end up cutting it, the remember, because it wasn't going to fit, and I don't love how this looks, but you know what, it's done and on the page, so I'm going to go along with it. All right, everything has come together pretty well. I really like this starburst technique. I hope that it is something that you might want to have a play with, a little bit of your own kit creations. It would work with so many different kits and patterns and papers and collections. So that's my share for today, and I hope that you enjoyed.